guys, welcome back to the channel. Max here with Guns, Gear, and Coffee. Today we're going to be taking a look at Armordillo Concealment and a couple of the products that their company offers. Today I'm going to be talking about the X-FER V2. This one's set up on a Safariland QLS fork. This is a holster that indexes off the flashlight and covers the trigger guard only. Benefit to that is it'll fit more more firearm platforms, and also if you were going to run those suppressed, you would have clearance for that suppressor to be drawn and stowed. And it's a pretty smart design how he did it. This isn't just regular Kydex. This is injection molded, which is a very expensive process to have done. The material tends to last a little bit longer and does not get shaved away as quickly as what Kydex was. So he did a good selection on this, especially for it being an outside the waistband holster, designed, the V2 at least, being designed as an outside the waistband holster. The V1 was designed to be a strict inside the waistband holster. This one having more rigidity, it's definitely going to do a little bit better than the original version being made out of strictly Kydex. So when you buy this holster, you're going to have to designate between which flashlight you're going to get. I do believe they make them for the TLR models. I'm stuck on the Surefire X300s. We have a screw model here, and this one was made for the A model. So the screw model, the B model of the Surefire, will not fit into this holster. If you have B models and A models, you will need to get one of each of these holsters if that's what you desire. And I'll show, well, I can show why that doesn't go in, but we'll get close up to that. Now, this is the holster that I've been carrying around every day for the past year and a half, around a year and a half. I've been carrying a Gen 4 Glock 19, and I cut the grip down on it to a 26 size to help me conceal a little bit better, and then I carry an extra 17 round magazine with me. Everything else on the gun is stock. But what I wanted to highlight on this holster is what makes it so good at its concealment. And you know, other companies are taking and adding foam wedges and gluing them to the outside, and I don't think there's a huge problem with that. The comfort's probably a little bit better. I just don't like things that could, you know, Velcro. I've had Velcro products on holsters before, and when the corners start to peel and they poke you all day, that's really annoying. So that could be resolved by first cleaning your holster with alcohol, making sure that the Velcro adhesive is gonna stick a little bit better to the product. I guess I could have done that, but I just prefer stuff that's molded in and non-removable, especially if it's something that I plan on keeping on the holster. And what this one has, and I've seen people refer to them as FUPAs, so that's what I'm gonna call it for the video. But we have this FUPA on the back, or this wedge, that's going to drive the holster and the top portion of the gun back into your body, thus taking away the printing or the silhouette under clothing. And then we have another smaller FUPA that's going to engage on the inside of your belt and help pull that grip inboard towards your hip. So where this model, you have to, the Lux at least, you have to buy either a designated right hand or left-handed holster. But when you talk about the X-FER V2, it is drilled with holes. See if I can get that. It's drilled with holes on both sides of the holster, so you can configure it for inside the waistband, outside the waistband, left or right-handed, whatever you prefer. So that's a good thing about this product. It's really user configurable for what you intend to do with it. So now that I kind of got the features out of the way of the holsters, I'm just going to run through. I've got some FNs, some SIGs, Glocks, Berettas, CZs, got an IWI. So I'm just going to kind of throw everything into the holsters, show you what fits, what doesn't fit. I can tell you right now, everything on the table does fit into the Lux with a little, it's not a perfect fit. Some of the trigger guard, just a tiny amount of the trigger guard, will be exposed on some of these platforms, but the trigger face is nowhere close to being exposed. That's really all that matters to me. A lot of people, other people might be concerned that mud, dirt, rocks, stuff like that's going to get in behind the trigger face. And if that's a concern to you, you know, don't get it. I mean, get different holsters. Waste your money on different holsters for different guns. Every time you get a new gun, buy a new holster for it. Have fun. So, all the guns have been previously safety checked prior to the video. I'm not going to run through and do it. I'm just going to kind of throw the guns into the holster, show you how they fit, and this being made for a Glock 19 or Glock 17, you can see everything fits in there the way that it's supposed to, but because it's an open top design holster, there's no retention on the gun until you apply moderate inside and outside pressure, as if there was a belt going through there and a body on the other side with the belt pushing against the body with the holster in between. So that's how this holster gains its retention, is by a properly worn belt. So fits in there. Got a Beretta M9A3. This one fits in there as well. There's that little gap in the trigger guard, none of the trigger face even close to being exposed. And then you can see a little bit of protrusion of the barrel and the slide out the front. Now, if that's a concern to you, especially after reholstering after a course of fire, then you might want to get the Lux Extended model, which is made more for full frame, full size guns like this Beretta M9 and almost everything else here on the table as well. So keep that in mind. Reholstering a recently fired handgun and having that barrel touch out the bottom down by where you're going to be carrying this, that would not feel good. So keep that in mind. But as far as carrying the gun and comfortably concealing the gun, this holster will work entirely good. So got a full-size 1911. This is a SIG. I believe it's an Elite Scorpion or Emperor Scorpion. Again, got barrel protrusion out the front. The trigger guard is fully covered, and the bad part about this gun is it covers the magazine release. I always prefer my magazine release to be exposed when in the holster. That's a user preference kind of thing. If that doesn't bother you, that's cool. Got a SIG 226 Elite. Again, slight window in the trigger guard, none of the trigger face exposed, and the barrel is protruding out the front. But everything will hold in. I'm holding it on the side of the holster. I'm not cheating, because that's how this gun's, that shake retention, that doesn't matter, because your belt should be applying a little bit more pressure and increasing the friction between your holster and the gun anyways. So that test doesn't do anything for me. Then we got a full-size FNX 45 Tactical, and this is the tightest fit, but it still fits, and it probably has the biggest gap in the trigger guard, and still not even close to the trigger face being shown. And then also the barrel coming out of the front. And while we got the biggest gun in the holster, I'm going to go ahead and throw the empty magazine. Throw the empty magazine in the gun, and I'm going to show you how well it conceals. I'm 174 pounds, super skinny. These are about the clothes that I wear every day, or kind of clothes that I wear every day. And no printing. I don't know how well that's coming through on camera. I don't have a viewfinder right now. So, holster does extremely good at concealing. It's comfortable. When you go to reach down, you're able to establish a good master grip. And when you strip it from the holster, there's no resistance, nothing to get caught on. The only concern, or the only flaw to these open top designs, is when your belt is squeezing the holster closed and you don't have a gun in the holster. You go to reinsert the holster, or reinsert the gun into the holster, you might have to wiggle it around a little bit and push down. Minor annoyance, but I'm not carrying a holster for how quick I can put the gun back in there. Now, one-handed manipulations and stuff like that, that might be a concern to other people, and it's still entirely accomplishable with this holster. It's just not going to be as easy as a dedicated Kydex holster to that firearm platform that stays open, presents the same retention upon entry. You know, that it's just one of the cons of open top holsters, but there's going to be pros and cons to every platform. Now, if you want to compare this holster to, say, another, let's see if I got another inside the waistband. This is the only one I'm finding right now. So this is a Tier 1 concealed Aegis, the version 1 Aegis. Did a video on this a couple years ago. It wasn't specifically on this holster, but more what I carried. But this is set up for a Glock 19 with an Enforce APLC. And you can compare the size of these two holsters, this being for the same firearm and a Surefire X300, a larger light, and you're looking about the same footprint. Now, this one does have this stuff off to the side because it's set up for a mag carrier to be clicked onto the side, so that's going to add a little bit of the bulk to it. It's just as far as a handgun with a smaller light and a holster that's for that same handgun and a larger light and still maintaining about the same footprint, taking up the same amount of space in inside my waistband, you know, and this one just tends to be more comfortable because we don't have this extreme claw out here, we don't have these sharp corners, and we don't have all the rivets. So not only is it smaller, it's also lighter because it's missing all the metal hardware and stuff like that on here. The only metal hardware on this entire holster is the 2 screws that are holding the clip in. So, all right, moving on beyond that, I'm gonna have to steal a flashlight from something because I don't have enough flashlights. Got the FM 509 Tactical. That didn't work. Again, a little bit of the trigger guard is exposed, tiny amount. No protrusion of the barrel. The barrel is actually sitting very flush with the front of the holster right now. Got a FN 5.7. More of the trigger guard is exposed, but none of the trigger face. And here that would be 21 rounds inside this little platform of rifle ammunition. So like that's a huge win for being able to conceal something this big. And especially for me not being that big, being able to conceal these full-size handguns is a huge plus. Maybe not for me, but for somebody else that may be trying to conceal a larger platform and stuff like that, or may have a need to conceal a larger platform. So I've got the CZP09. That fits as well. A little bit of a barrel protrusion and a little bit of a gap in the trigger guard. Here we have the IWI Masada. Is that on there all the way? Yeah. And that fits as well, covers up the trigger guard. This handgun kind of falls into the Glock 19 footprint, so that was to be expected. Maybe you see a little bit of light through that trigger guard, but not much. So, yep, that's everything for the Lux. Everything fits in there. It all conceals. It all works well. Now, this holster to me has a little bit of a niche. Would I want to run and gun with this? Would I want to sprint through the woods with this holding my firearm? Maybe not the best choice. I do prefer a second level of retention other than just friction fit. So whether it's like this is the Tier 1 Concealed Centurion. I actually did a whole review on this holster as well. This is for the FM 509 Tactical. So I prefer to have a secondary measure of retention, whether it be like the Safariland ALS. I don't prefer Serpa holsters. I've had them. I could get fast with them. I just found that I was not consistent with them. So I prefer to go to something that I can maintain consistency with and a good balance of speed and simplicity. So that's why I choose to go with these holsters. I do like the ALS still, but this would be my go-to for, you know, running and gunning. But as far as a universal holster, if I'm going to the range and I'm going to be trying out a couple buddies' guns or stuff like that, and they're going to have me run it, this would be an awesome tool to have. Just because most everything's going to fit in here as long as it's on the... I don't know actually how to describe it. It's got these 2 dog ears or wings or whatever you want to call them up top on the holster that prevent a lot of firearms being inserted in there. For example, the TAC 45. When you put the TAC 45 in there, the front portion of those dog ears will not make it around because the bottom part of the frame is too wide or much wider than that of a Glock 19, which these holsters were built around. So that's going to be something that you'll have to look for. So we know the TAC 45 doesn't fit. I don't think the CZP09 fits. Let's get it all the way on there. Yeah, CZP09 does not fit. And there was another one, and I'm not sure which one it was. Let's see here. It might be the Masada. Yes, the Masada. The Masada does not fit. It comes into contact with those rails too. You can kind of force it in there, but I wouldn't want to do that with injection molded plastic, especially since it's been seamed up through the front here. that's where it's going to be split if you force anything in. So the TAC 45, the P09, and the Masada all do not fit. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but it's to be expected that a Kydex universal holster is not going to fit a couple different platforms. But for 3 out of the 9 guns that I got on the table, 3 of those don't fit. So here we'll run through 226, fits, holds. And this one does have click retention in it. And 509 tactical, clicks and holds. FN 57, fits and holds. 1911, fits and holds. Red M9A3, same thing. And then, I hear my baby screaming upstairs. My wife's up there with her trying to get her to sleep. And then Glock 19, again, which it was made for. And you see, this was actually made, this holster was made for a Glock 17, but you can see how those dog ears engage under that slide rail. Or just below the slide on the top of the frame. Sorry, I'm so shaky. I'm on my 4th cup of coffee this morning. But yeah, that's it, guys. I just wanted to run through what would fit, what wouldn't fit, what I like about the holsters. There's not really much that I don't like about the holsters. I like these for inside the waistband just because there's not anything that scrapes me, pinches me, gives me like a huge pressure point or anything like some corners of Kydex products do. Like I have a tier 1 concealed holster for my SIG P365. I can't remember what it's called. And I stopped wearing that one. It holds the gun just fine. It's just this, where the claw was going, this plastic would push into my leg, and at the end of the day, I'd have almost like a raw spot on the inside of my leg through my underwear. So I just opted to ditch this, and I just went with another fold-around Kydex holster, and it's a little more minimalist, and it doesn't have any of the claw or concealment features, but everything works. So if you guys are into the product, again, this is the Armordillo Concealment X-FER V2, and I do have that with a Safariland QLS fork. And I do like the QLS forks. For anybody that doesn't know, which I'm sure you do if you're watching the video, I like the QLS forks for being able to hook different platforms into my gun belt and not have to undo all my other products to get it on there. So, but yeah, that's it, guys. Any comments or concerns, questions, drop them below. If you have a gun that you want to see if it fits in the holster, feel free to send it to me and I'll make a video for you. But until next time, you guys take it easy. Thanks for stopping by.